Hey guys, how you doing? Eric at SoCal Cigars here. So I got kind of a special treat for you. I am on vacation in Missouri, like I talk about in some of my videos. So you actually get to be here with me for a while, and I am here with my cousin Jacob. He is one of the cousins you hear me talking about in my videos a lot, who also enjoys smoking cigars with me, and we kind of started talking about what would be kind of some cool videos to do while I'm in Missouri to bring back and share with you guys. And one thing we came up with was to do a comparison of a cigar that I've reviewed actually in the past, but we thought it'd be kind of interesting to see two takes on the same cigar. So we're both going to smoke the Chupacabra, which you've seen. You can go back and maybe I'll link it below. You can see the previous video I did on the Chupacabra. It's a really, really nice cigar. But everyone's palate's different, like we've talked about, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to light these up, and we're going to both give you our views on the Chupacabra, and it'll, to me, it'll be interesting to see how Jacob's palate and my palate differ. So there's things I might pick up that he doesn't, there's things he might pick up that I don't. So again, we've talked about that a lot in the videos, that over time you develop a palate, and I know a lot of people get frustrated because they'll smoke a cigar that they've heard other people talk about, you know, leathery notes and almondy whatever, and you're like, I'm not getting any of that. So so anyway, thought it'd be interesting for us to do that and see what the differences are. So we're going to start the process you're used to seeing, remember, the go bag, and we're going to deep V these suckers. Also, another treat, I'm actually smoking inside of a house. Doesn't happen much in my world.
Esteban Carreras?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these are killer cigars.
So this is the first time I've actually seen this.
Oh,
so
really?
It's interesting. It's got the
the pigtail.
Pigtail on the end, and it also has the foot that the
exactly.
My favorites, the Deadwoods.
Exactly.
Has on it.
So yeah, in the beginning, I remember I when I first saw where they have like the extra leaf left at the end of the cigar, I'm like, why would you do that? I get maybe it's decorative, but to me, all it sort of did was got in the way of me toasting the foot. It's like I had to burn through that material to get to the foot, and I'm like, doesn't make sense. It's kind of dumb. Then I looked into it and realized that they did it for a reason. The reason they do it is to actually help with the lighting process. So instead of toasting the foot on the cigar like this one, we're going to actually use that to help light it. So when you start lighting it without toasting it, that extra tobacco on the end is going to actually flame up and help you light the cigar, which I thought was actually fairly interesting. Because at first I was like, why? I get it. Maybe it's decorative, but to me it was just in the way.
Thank you, sir. So we're using the deep V cut. I love this deep V
that
cut.
Calibre, that's why I've told you in the past, guys, if you're going to spend the money on something good, get that deep V cutter by Calibre. It's a little more, if you get it on Amazon. In fact, I'll put a link below, because then you can click on my affiliate link, and that way, even if you do get it, I'll get a little kickback, which I could always use. That's worth the money, and on Amazon, it's a lot cheaper than getting it at a smoking or a smoke shop or like a brick and mortar place. So,
all right. So no flavoring on the wrapper.
No.
So
yeah.
So what? Just out of curiosity, what are those little white things? Is that like stem?
Yeah, it's probably the end of the stem. Yeah.
So, okay. So I don't know if you guys can see that little white speck in there. That's just a little bit of stem there at the end. So.
Yeah, you get that even the better cigars, but you can even see on this brand, you'll see even on the outer wrapper some of the stems coming through on the outer leaves they use for the binder. You'll see they're a little heavier on this cigar. I mean, this is a good cigar. It's not like what you consider necessarily a premium cigar, so you're going to get a little bit of the quality issues here and there, but overall, I don't think I've ever had one that was a bad draw. So I think getting the stems in there aren't so bad, as long as it's not excessive. But yeah, every once in a while you cut one, you might see that end piece, kind of wondering what the hell was that.
Okay. I think I got that lit.
Yeah, so instead of toasting it, you're just going to light it up like we did. And on this one, you're probably going to have to hit it again because you're still, you're partially burning through that first layer just to get down to the foot.
Right, so I've seen some of your videos. The first few puffs really aren't very.
They're not very telling. No, the first few, when you first ignite it, you get that real hot burn. You get a little bit of that charred flavor. That's why. And again, you can purge. So if you want to purge a cigar, it's sort of a theory. I don't know how much it works, but the theory on purging a cigar is that when you light a cigar and you draw through it, and because of that hot flame that you just pulled through that hot smoke, you can taint the rest of the cigar. So some people talk about purging it, where you literally blow back through the cigar and you blow out some of that smoke the other direction.
Instead of pulling it all the way through.
Instead, you keep drawing it through. Now, whether it's true, I don't know. I've spent time purging cigars while I'm smoking them, and I've not done that, and I'm not sure how much I noticed the difference. But I'm also not sure how much I was paying attention to it. So
I'll go ahead and purge mine since you've already purged yours.
Yeah. It's such a weird thing to be smoking inside. It just does not happen where, well, especially, I don't know, it's probably not uniquely California thing, but I know for sure, anyone I know in California, you're designated outside to smoke cigars. It's just not happening. But here we're on Jacob's, this is where he grew up. This is the farm he grew up on in Missouri, about 20 acres. This is the one I talk about a lot. You guys can't see it, but the other direction is the porch that I usually am taking pictures on and setting, talking about. It's like one of my favorite spots. Now I got two favorite spots because we'll do a video from Jacob's new property. He has 54 acres, and they just built a place over there, and it's another porch that you will maybe we can sell tickets.
Yeah. Well, it's called the Promised Land.
It is the Promised Land. Yes, it is awesome. So it's
we'll
nice.
sit on the porch is the time warp, because you sit down there and you lose time in your life.
Yes, in a good way.
Just watching life go by.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, that's the thing. We talk about, and that's what we've done on this trip so far. I leave in a couple days. We actually were here for a wedding, for my cousin's wedding, and we spent a lot of time smoking cigars. And like I talk about, it's a very social thing. It's we all get together and we all grab a cigar, and it's time to sit down and talk. And a lot of cultures do that. Like as you know, we go to Denmark on occasion, and they do the same thing around food. They'll put out a spread for lunch, and they'll sit there for 2 hours, 3 hours just talking. It's sort of what we're doing with cigars half the time.
Yeah, it was amazing at the wedding how many people, I look around, there's tons of people walking around with cigars.
Yeah.
All smoked by you. But
I was kind of blown away that I brought a big bag of cigars. I must have brought 50, 60 cigars. And I'm like, well, I'll bring a bunch in case at the wedding people want to try them, because a lot of people are curious. They're like, oh, I've never had a cigar. I'd love to try one for the first time. So that's always fun to help people do that. But yeah, like Jacob said, I was surprised people kept coming up. Oh, can I get a cigar? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And before you know it, half the place is smoking cigars. And I thought that was actually, even one of the bridesmaids grabbed one, which again, we talk about that. My sister-in-law, she smokes more cigars than I do probably. So again, this is not a men's club only. This isn't. I always encourage you. If you're a guy and you smoke cigars, maybe introduce your wife to it. It's something you can do together, and actually get couples together doing this. And we do that when my brother and sister-in-law come over. It's all of us together smoking. It's not just the men pair off and the women pair off. We all sit together and have a good time. So
yeah, my wife occasionally has a cigar with us. She sticks to the smaller ones, with the La Cigarillas.
Yeah, exactly. So my wife does the same thing. She'll smoke those backwoods with the wood tip. And the interesting thing about backwoods is they're actually pipe tobacco, not cigar or cigarette. It's actually pipe tobacco. And a lot of women. So when I polled a lot of friends of mine who are female who don't smoke cigars but have maybe tried it, the main reason that they said they didn't like smoking a normal size cigar like this one is they didn't like the way it felt like on their lips. They didn't like the tobacco to their lips for some reason. I don't know what it was, but that was a common denominator in these conversations. And so for my wife, she'll smoke those little ones like Jacob's wife will, but having that little wooden or plastic tip separating the tobacco from their mouth. seem to make a big difference for some reason. So maybe that's something that they can try while you're smoking a big fat 60 gauge. They can do the other ones, and they might like that as well. So it's at least worked out for my wife. Well, getting into it a little bit.
Yeah, it's burning good.
Mm-hmm.
Lit well.
Yeah, again, like I said, these Chupacabras aren't like, you know, top shelf, but they're good cigars, and they're kind of like a video I made recently. It's kind of a creeper cigar where you know, Chupacabra, what are you talking about? It sounds like a gimmicky thing. And then you actually get one, you're like, well, it's actually not that bad. All right, we're into it a little bit. We can maybe start seeing if we can get anything out of these things. And well, the one thing I'm not getting, which I like, is it's not bitter, it's not spicy, because I'm not a big fan.
Right.
And what are you on the spice level? Because I'm not a big peppery note guy.
I can't say that I've ever really paid that close attention to any pepperies. Now the spicy bitterness I've noticed on some, and this is really smooth.
Yeah, you're not getting that at all, which I'm glad. You know, even I know maybe it'll take a little more to get into the notes of it, but at least to some degree, maybe finding what you don't like in a cigar is important. You know, because if you're not getting a lot of notes, if it's not a really complex cigar, but the one overbearing note is something you don't like for me, it being like peppery, then it wouldn't be something for me. But
so, then the question for you would be, is there a way that you could tell what is gonna have a more spicy peppery? Is you find that more Maduros are spicy peppery? Is there a specific region?
Yeah, so from what I've seen, it's gonna be down to the recipe. So when you're looking at a cigar maker, they're gonna basically put together a recipe based on the leaves they're pulling from what level of the plant. Because if you've ever looked into it, it's actually interesting. You should look into it. I find it interesting. Maybe I'll do a video on it. But when you grow a tobacco plant, the leaves that are closer to the sun start tasting different than the ones towards the bottom.
Right.
So they'll number them out when they roll them. So let's say you've got a number 1 on the bottom and number 7 on the top, and then 1 through 7. So when they're putting that recipe together, they might pull 2 number 2s, a number 3, a number 7, and a number 5, and that might be the sandwich that they use to make that cigar. And so they can add or not add the peppery notes in if they want. And so again, it's just like making a recipe with food. You know, you could add jalapenos or you leave jalapenos out. So I think, unfortunately, to the naked eye, you're not going to be able to look at a cigar and say that might be peppery, even if it's a Maduro. Because I've had some surprisingly mild Maduros.
Yeah.
I think at that point you're going to have to probably rely on reading about it, reading a review, listening to or watching a review, or if you're at a brick and mortar shop, actually you're just asking the person that's there, hey, what's the flavor profile? And again, like we've talked about, sometimes people feel really uncomfortable in a cigar shop, but don't be afraid to say, look, I don't like really peppery stuff, or I do like really peppery stuff. Can you point out a few things that you might recommend that have or don't have that characteristic? So
it's funny you mentioned that, because we just went to Florida, Cocoa Beach area, for vacation this summer with the family. And I always like to try and get cigars that are specific to wherever I go. That's how we came up with Deadwood.
Exactly, yeah.
And so there's a local wine liquor store down the street, and they had a big walk-in humidor, and they didn't have anything amazingly fantastic in there. It was your standard
stuff.
Run the stuff. But what I thought was fantastic, I think I sent you text messages, pictures of it, is they actually, on the ones that they had, I guess, smoked or whatever, they had their own description of what the smoke was like on the cigar. So you would look at it and you could read what they had written down to kind of describe it for you.
Yeah.
So I thought I had never seen that. I thought that was brilliant.
No, it's really good, and at least it gives you a starting point. Because like we're doing right now, you'll see that, or maybe you won't see that our view of the cigar might be different or might be the same. It just depends on our palates and where the palates are at the moment and where they've developed over time from smoking cigars. So at least if someone does write something up like that, if nothing else, at least broadly gives you an idea, like, hey, this one, if you're seeing words like creamy and vanilla and stuff, you're pretty safe to bet that it's probably a pretty mellow, non-spicy cigar. Typically, they'll add the word peppery or spicy note into a description because, some people are looking for that. I got friends that absolutely love spicy cigars. It just isn't for me. So if I'm looking for that, I'm looking for it as a warning. They're looking for it as like, hey, maybe this is a cigar I want to get. So.
Okay, so I'm getting definitely some oaky, kind of, not really strong, but a hint of some oakiness now.
Yeah, see, I'm getting that, and I always describe it sort of as like that earthy flavor where, and I've actually said in the past where I almost say it's like dirt or grass.
Yeah, that's probably better. Yeah, that's probably better than oak. Yeah, earthy, kind of fresh dirt.
Exactly. Yeah, and I know sometimes
not taste so much as the smell of it.
Yeah, non-cigar people would be like, "You're smoking a cigar that tastes like dirt." That sounds horrible.
Right. Well, I've heard some people describe some cigars that taste like straw.
Exactly.
You
know what does that is the candelas, the one with the green wrappers, like the barber poles and the Philly Hooligan. You'll get that from that candela wrapper. You'll get a straw flavor, which I actually like. It's almost like a sweet straw flavor. Mm-hmm. So if you can find it's become sort of gimmicky, but especially around like St. Patrick's Day, you'll get what they call a barber pole cigar, where they'll wrap 2 or 3 different leaves together to make the outer wrapper, and it makes like a barber pole effect of color. Typically, one of those is going to be a candela wrapper, which is green. And it gives you that sweet grassy note, and so when they blend that in with a harsher outer leaf, it makes it softens the rest of it. It makes a killer combo. Yeah, this thing's burning really nice.
It is.
The construction's, like I said again, for being not top shelf cigar, this thing's it's pretty good stick. If you can find it, you should be able to. At first, my brother-in-law found it at a little alcohol place in Newport Beach in California, and I thought it was just kind of a one-off weird little local something or other, but it's around. I mean, I've seen it at other events now. I've seen it at other cigar shops, so it's making a bigger presence.
See, I'm not seeing if we have them in.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen them around here or not,
but let's check Deadwood.
Yeah,
that's the big cigar shop here in Kansas City. Is Deadwood.
Oh, that Outlaw place too.
I'm sorry, Outlaw.
Outlaw,
not Deadwood.
That place is massive.
Outlaw. There's like 3 stores, and they have the bar open now.
Did they ever get the big place open?
Yes.
Okay.
We haven't been there yet.
It was supposed to be it was going to be the biggest humidor on the east side of the Rockies. Yeah. So I haven't gone there yet.
Bar in there where you can go in there and smoke and get yourself a drink. So.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out. Well, probably next trip.
It's funny how you run out of time so quickly.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, we've been wanting to make. Yeah, we talked about all sorts of videos to make, and we're like, yeah, this will be great, and now I'm leaving in 2 days, and we're just now finally getting to do a video because, well, the wedding. I mean, I came here for a wedding, and that's that obviously took a lot of everyone's time, and plus, Jacob's a firefighter and paramedic, so he's on call on shift, kind of odd hours. So it's hard to just sit down and make time because things change and
everybody wants a piece of Eric's time.
Yeah, it's fun. It's good times. I'm always happy to see how stoked people are. It's funny. Your dad's brother here, Dave came up to me at the wedding and he's like, he goes, man, the only time I get a good cigar is when you're in town.
Yeah.
Here's a handful, man. You can take them with you. Enjoy. I told him for deer season too, I'll bring some more cigars. So.
Yeah, yeah, we'll definitely have some cigars there at deer camp.
Well, yeah, I think we'll do a video at deer camp too, because, well, even just like us sitting down right now, this is to me what cigar smoking is about. You're just shooting the crap. You're just talking. You're having fun together. You're just chilling, and there's a lot of opportunity to do that. And what I think with the pace we live, the good thing about a cigar is it's a commitment of time. So I know this cigar right here is going to sit us here for an hour.
Yep.
So in the busiest day there is, like Jacob said last night was a busy night for calls, as a paramedic. he said before this video, he goes, I need a cigar. You know, when you're a first responder or you're in a high stress job, sometimes this downtime is more important than you probably think. And to be forced to sit down for an hour and just chill and just shoot the shit and talk about whatever, get your mind off work or the night before, it's valuable. And that's why, to me, I tie cigar smoking so much with the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. It's okay to sit down and have a cigar by yourself, which I do on occasion, but it's a lot nicer when you're sitting down with a group or just even another person and just sitting there and just so.
Yeah. One of our other videos we're going to do is we talk about the camaraderie hour at the station.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's look for that video. We're going to do one that we'll talk about camaraderie hour.
Yeah, they'll smoke cigars and pipes, and I think, again, it's, you know, when you're, especially in his line of work and the other firefighters, I think there's some big value in being able to distance yourself from work for a minute and just pull away and just chill out. And I think it's really important. So
what are you drinking? In case you guys didn't know, I'm pairing our Chupacabra here with a nice cup of coffee.
Yep. So what's in it?
Black.
See, black, and I've got vanilla creamer in mine. As you know, I'm the I like the sugary stuff.
So you can try this. I think I just had a chocolatey hint with my coffee there.
Yeah, so. I've gotten that from the cigar in the past. I have. I'd have to go back and look at my review because I did review the cigar. I'd be curious to see what I'm. See, again, it's not just how your palate develops. I think it also has a lot to do with.
Oh yeah.
As it is at the moment.
Oh yeah.
You know.
That is definitely so. Yeah, when I drink my coffee after a draw, there is a very subtle but pronounced, if you will, maybe it's a late developing. It's not a sweet chocolate, but it is
right, like a cocoa
hint to it. So, kind of enjoying that actually.
To me, coffee and cigars is actually a killer combo.
So,
yeah, it's funny because it does it. It does it. It sort of alters your palate a little bit, and sometimes it's a good thing. That's why, again, a lot of people pair it with whiskeys. And I've never been. I think you're maybe different than I am on that, but I've never been the biggest fan of pairing alcohol and cigars together because I'm not a big alcohol drinker. But whenever I go to a friend's house, they always seem to want to give me some kind of new alcohol they found that, oh, you're gonna love this with a cigar, and it just, I don't know, doesn't.
I think to me it was just kind of a, I don't know, what's preconceived notion, I guess.
Yeah.
That's how it's marketed.
That it's supposed to be that way. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got started with it. And
maybe that came from like the cigar aficionado days, where it was always you sit down with a cigar, you got your smoking jacket or a suit on, and you're having a high-end cigar and a nice bourbon, or you know. That was like maybe that's the picture that was painted.
Well, and it goes back to your camaraderie kind of casual, just sit down, slow down kind of moment. And whereas typically when I'm having a cigar, that's the kind of mood I'm in. I'm in just like chilled out, and so a glass of whiskey sounds good. And
I think a lot of people do that with whiskey instead of the cigar. That is what they do. They sit down and have a nice whiskey. So I guess at that rate, if you're going to put the two together, maybe it's the double hitter for them. But for me, to be honest with you, I actually probably enjoy having a cigar more with a cup of coffee than I do with alcohol. And again, that's the beauty of it, man. You just do it. You do you, and that's it. So, we're into this thing about probably a quarter.
Yeah. It's still really smooth.
Yeah, it doesn't change much. As we've talked about, when you're drawing through, you're sometimes adding a bitterness to the rest of the cigar because the rest of the cigar borderline becomes a filter. Some cigars seem to do better at that. Some seem to do worse at that. This one is staying very consistent to being really smooth. I'm not really noticing any change in like adding any bitterness or anything. It still feels really good.
The other thing I've noticed is it's not like overly heavy on the smoke.
No.
It's a light smoke.
It's a light smoke, but it's like a creamy smoke.
Yeah.
Like it's like we were talking about, like the mouthfeel of the smoke, and some smokes feel thin and harsh. This feels kind of like creamy and light. which I like better. I mean, that's where I'm at with it. So
it's a good aroma too. My wife likes the smell of the cigar, like most of them.
Yeah, you hear that a lot. That people are like, oh, I don't like the taste of it, but I sure love to smell it. So it's so funny because even my motorcycle vest, I've got a patch that says I smoke cigars just to piss you off. But I found that most people aren't pissed off by it. Most of them will say, because I'll say, oh, do you want us to move? And, trying to be polite. And they're like, oh, no, I actually like the smell. I'm like, okay, cool. That happened at the wedding. Mm-hmm. Remember, we sat down next to that lady, and the first thing I said is, would you like us to go somewhere else? And she's like, oh, no, my husband always used to smoke cigars, and I actually like the smell of it. You're fine. I'm like, okay, cool. So
I'm getting a new taste here. It might be some leather, maybe. Mm. Maybe I'm getting that off the wrapper, though. It tastes
that could be.
Front end. And more like on my mouth, like in my mouth, I'm feeling kind of it's absorbing moisture-wise. It could be the smoke saturation, but there's a new flavor in there.
I'm feeling like my mouth's getting more coated.
Yeah.
As we're smoking it.
So.
And that could be because there is, I think 70% of the flavor can potentially come from the outer wrapper.
Right.
So, it could be starting to build up in your mouth, and maybe that's why the taste changes a little bit. Because
that's why my dad likes to chew on them.
Yeah.
He does not cut cigars.
No.
If he's going to smoke, he's going to put it in his mouth, and he's going to wander around with it.
It's cringeworthy to me.
Yeah. He gnaws on it and stamps on it until there's no end left to it, and it's a soggy mess, and I don't know how he smokes through the thing. But he'll chew on it before he actually...
I think he likes the taste of it as much as he likes to smoke
it. Oh, yeah, totally. He'll chew on them and sometimes not light them.
No, he did that yesterday. We came back and he was mowing the front yard. And for those of you not living in a place like this, when I say mowing the front yard, that's like a 4-hour process.
That's definitely cigar.
Yeah, so he'll sit there with that cigar, just not even lit, just chewing the crap out of it. Until he pulls it out of his mouth, it looks like the end of the cigar exploded in his mouth, and it's all wet. But hey, you know what? Again, well, that way you're still getting nicotine out of it. So I mean, you are getting something.
Basically,
out
like
of it.
Chewing, except for
exactly, just gross.
Yeah,
for me, I can't do it. Yeah, I've tried. It's not me.
So this is a Maduro then, right?
It's Maduro Sumatra. I'll have to look back at this, but it's definitely not a Connecticut, but it's more than likely Maduro wrapper. But I've been wrong on a couple where I thought it was Maduro, and the Sumatra wrapper can be really dark red. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it almost looks it. I think this is Maduro though. Okay. But yeah, let's see. Let me get off this thing. Yeah, I've had to actually. I probably haven't even had to really ash it. I'm just doing it because I don't want it to ash on the chair. Again, the nuances of smoking inside for a change. I'm not outside. I'm just flicking it all over the place. Here, I'm actually worried about where it's going to drop.
Still holding on there.
Yeah, I'd say I'm still getting. Yeah, I'm getting that earthy note, that grassy, a little bit of a grassy note. Not like the straw. It's not like hay. It's more like grassy.
Yeah, but it's not like fresh mowed grass.
No, it's like old.
It's almost like, ironically, it kind of has a grass fire kind of hint.
Yeah.
People who smell the grass fire, they have a very defined smell.
Like you said, in between draws, I am getting a leathery taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I think it's building up and it's putting layer. Because obviously you're going to walk away from a cigar having some kind of an aftertaste because of it. I think that's what's happening is I'm feeling that buildup of material in my mouth.
The coating.
And it's not bad though. It's not bitter, but yeah, I would say it's probably leathery, and I would say ironically, I'm not getting the chocolate note I got last time, which you got.
Yeah, I'm getting that. But that may be from the coffee, too.
It could be.
So
I'm not getting that.
Here's an interesting question. You had COVID recently.
Mm-hmm.
I had COVID about a year ago, roughly.
Yeah.
Did COVID change your palate?
Yes. So I would say, and right after having it, I don't think I didn't even have a cigar for probably 2.5 weeks. I was not, I could tell I wasn't even up for it.
Right.
Because I noticed that I didn't lose smell like some people did, but I did notice things like garlic, which I love garlic. I could not eat garlic. All garlic I ate tasted like burnt garlic, which was very strange, and my daughter had the same thing happen to her. So even the thought, 2 or 3 weeks after having COVID, of smoking a cigar was just like out of the question. I could just tell it wasn't gonna be a good thing. And I think the first time I smoked a cigar, I remember saying to myself, this would never be a good time to review a cigar because my taste is so off.
Yeah.
So I am wondering, that would be interesting to see based on my previous review, because I do recall getting a chocolatey note off of it before, and I'm definitely not getting it now. And I even had coffee with creamer in it.
Right.
And I'm still not getting that coffee note I got last time. So I think that it probably has altered it. I think it's changing back to normal slowly.
Yes,
but
I would agree.
But this time I would say that the overall view of this cigar right now for me is it's grounded, it's earthy, it's like that clean dirt, that older grass.
It's not
a little leather.
complex.
It's not that complex. No,
it's pretty mellow.
It is. Well, like I talked about,
a good mellow.
yeah, because I talked about in the past too, where some people I think have the misconception that a cigar needs to be ultra complex and it needs to be changing all the time. And if it's not, oh, this must be a crappy cigar. I wasted my money. I will say that there is a lot of merit to a cigar that holds its own and stays simple and consistent. Because I've had some really low-end cigars, and what I found happens is they're very single-note cigar. They're not complex at all, but then start getting really bitter.
Right.
So I will take a single-note, non-complex cigar that holds its own and stays consistent the whole way through over a really low-end cigar that starts becoming bitter. And to me, that's probably one of the telltale signs of a shitty cigar.
Right.
Is it gets really bitter.
Right.
And some don't. I mean, I've got people that I watch smoke it down to the nub. They're burning their fingers.
Yeah, Uncle Dave was burning his label.
Yeah, I saw that
at the
yesterday.
wedding. I was like, hey, I think you're burning. He's like, oh yeah.
I think there could have been alcohol in play in that too.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't think that's good for you.
Yeah, I gave his uncle the Dave a cigar, and he was I can't remember what they're called now. Those little, they got looks like a knight on them.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name.
It had a pretty good sized band.
Yeah, it's a big decorative band, and you normally would take that off fairly quickly because and he was smoking right through it. I'm like, what if he notices he's smoking the band?
Yeah, we were pairing some Jesse James whiskey. That's a local whiskey here.
Yeah.
It's actually brewed up in Weston.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
distilled, whatever.
That's a good spot. I think I may have mentioned Weston in one of my videos. Man, if you're ever near Kansas City, you got to go to Weston. They have an awesome cigar place there, and they have an awesome, like a whiskey, I don't know, not really a bar. It's like a...
Well, it's the McCormick's is the distillery over there, and they have a storefront, I guess, basically downtown where you can go in and they have a bar back there that they make you drinks, but you can also get samples of all the different stuff they make.
Yeah, pretty much anything they sell, you can test and for like $1. And so that place was, and then I guess once a year they come together, the whiskey place and the cigar place, and they do a big shindig. Yeah. It's unfortunately never when I'm here, but
right. And it also has a brewery there, one of the oldest breweries, and it's got that cellar. So
that was cool. Yeah.
Pre-prohibition cellar that.
Yeah, it's like a half dome, long, cellar, all brick and stuff. And you go down there and you can sit down, and it's kind of musty, and the lighting is cool. That's a cool spot.
Fantastic place.
Yeah, near Kansas City, man, go to Weston. It's a good spot.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, I'll argue. I don't think this is going to change much. I know a lot of people review these things down to the nub, but
we're about halfway.
I think, at least halfway. I don't know how much more it's going to change. I mean, I think if I remember right, this was a really consistent cigar. But so I'd say it looks like between the two of us, we're getting the same things except the chocolate.
Yeah.
So you're getting the chocolate, and ironically, you're drinking black coffee. I'm drinking flavored coffee. I almost thought I would have got the chocolate.
You would think.
But I definitely didn't.
But it's a sweet aroma.
Yeah, it's a
really good cigar.
It is a good stick. Yeah, this is one I think I mentioned in my previous video when I reviewed this. Is my brother-in-law brought me one, and I'm like, "What's this?" And he goes, "Oh, it's the Chupacabra." I'm like, "Really, dude? Chupacabra?"
Right. What about
the Latin goat sucker. I mean, it's like really.
I haven't mastered the retrohale thing, but try
Yeah.
the retrohale and see how that works.
Yeah.
See if you get anything else with that.
Yeah, I think retrohaling. I think what I'm getting is maybe a little more, maybe that little bit of oak.
Okay.
Yeah, that I wasn't getting. And again, what if you're not familiar, and I've done videos, but what Jacob's referring to is when you when you just bring smoke into your mouth and blow it back out, the receptors on your tongue, it only picks up 6 distinct, not really flavors, but like sweet, sour, like that, right? So there's only 6. When you retrohale and you put about 20-25% of the smoke back through your sinuses can detect over 400 aromas. So that's why a lot of people that get frustrated saying, I don't get it. People are saying I taste chocolate and I taste cedar and I taste raspberries, and they're like, I'm not getting any of that. It's because when you're only bringing the smoke in and out of your mouth, you're only getting 6 different, I don't know, they're not really flavors, but it's picking up 6 different, I can't remember what it's called.
Taste buds?
Yeah, like it's your taste buds. Yeah, you're only
flavor nodes.
Yeah, 'cause it's only sweet, sour, salty. There's only 6. But if you get it up into your sinuses, you can detect 400 subtle aromas. So that's typically where you're expanding your palate, is by retrohaling. I'll do a video maybe a little more on retrohaling as well, because some of these videos I've done a long time ago, and maybe it's time to do a refresher course on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would argue I do continue to buy this cigar. This is one of my regular rotation cigars. I think it's worth giving a shot. Because again, other than the chocolate, I think it's pretty interesting that we both are getting really the same stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not wildly different. It's I would say that it does say something about this cigar, that it's a consistent cigar, and you know, if you like this, the profile we're describing, give this a shot. I think you'll be really happy with it. And again, always, if you want to comment below, it's interesting to see if you're getting something we're not. But at least in this comparison, you know, we kind of got everything the same except for that chocolate note that Jacob got that I didn't get. So
yeah, next time we do a side-by-side comparison together, we're going to match your favorite.
Yeah.
I'll bring the Mountain Dew.
There we go.
And we'll just, that way.
You got to do. Yeah. You can't go wrong, and especially the Code Red. Yeah, your dad's addicted to Code Red.
Code Red. That might be more difficult to find, but we'll see.
It's here.
We'll get us some Code Red.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. So let's throw a curveball into SoCal Cigar folklore here, and let's start giving classifications. Since this is a casual, pretty mild, pretty standard, but very consistent cigar. What do you call this?
See, I wouldn't call this like a daily smoke. Okay. I wouldn't say this is, so for me the daily smoke is something like the Isla del Sol. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I would say, because this is a little more expensive stick, this is getting in the $9, $10, $11 range, whereas the Isla del Sol is more like a $4 cigar. So, and it's a little sweeter. So I'd say for me, for that daily smoke, I'm going to maybe have one a day. I want to drive the price down and still get a good stick. Again, this is also not like I'm going to bring, you know, this isn't like an Opus X or a Davidoff.
It's celebratory.
No. I would say this is a more, if I'm going to have if I'm going to put a cigar aside maybe for like a weekend where I'm going to go like to your house and we're going to hang out and have dinner and cook some steaks and have a cigar, this would be that middle class.
Casual.
Yeah.
This is actually, ironically, a fantastic, I'm going to give you this one, camaraderie hour cigar.
It would be. Yeah.
This is
because it's pushing you into that hour range.
Yeah.
Where like an Isla del Sol would be maybe 35 minutes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this kind of forces you into chilling a little bit, because you got to kind of, you don't have a choice unless you want to put it out early.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say this is a middle cigar.
Yeah.
Not a daily smoke, but maybe not, like you said, not celebratory, not like, hey, we just had a wedding, let's break out the big guns.
Right.
But I'd say, yeah, this is a really good weekend cigar. Maybe you're going to pull out and stage out of your
It
humidor.
might be a good if you don't want to go with the standardized baby born cigars, but
Yeah.
a good one to hand out to family when you have your first baby or something like that.
This is, yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna classify the Chupacabra as a camaraderie hour cigar. That's what
It would be.
I'm gonna give you a camaraderie hour classification. There you go.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because I could see your guys at the station, if you handed them this cigar, they would be quite happy with it.
Yes.
Yeah, this is not one of those like, oh, you just gave me a cheapie. This is a nice cigar to get. You know, this is I wouldn't be unhappy getting this cigar at all.
No, definitely. It's a good smoke and it's smooth.
And it hasn't changed. I mean, it's stayed. I'm not getting anything bitter. I'm not getting a bad aftertaste. It
burns really well.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's, as I've learned from Eric's videos, a good indicator of a well-made cigar is how evenly it burns.
Yeah. Well, we've had some better cigars than this that have burned crappy.
Oh yeah.
So
absolutely.
I'd say this Chupacabra holds its own. So
yes.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we're good. I think, like I said, I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. We're going to do a couple more videos, at least while I'm here this trip. I'm going to be back out in November to go deer hunting.
Yep.
And hopefully your property this time as well.
Yep.
But yeah, stay tuned. So we're going to do, we'll do one on camaraderie hour where
Yep.
you can maybe go into that more. Because that's going to be a really good video to have Jacob describe what they do, why they're doing it. And again, use it as a takeaway of maybe something you can set up with your group of friends, you know, for the same reason. You don't necessarily have to be a first responder or a situation where you're really having to detune. It could just be like, hey, I got 10 friends of mine. We all ride bikes together. We all ride horses together. We all go hunting together. Whatever your thing is, maybe add cigars to that and say, hey, you know what? Let's sit down for an hour and just chill and we'll talk about our hunting or our bikes or whatever you do, you know. So, yeah, I think that's an awesome thing.
And we'll be live from the Promised Land.
We will be from the Promised Land, yes. All right, we will catch you next time. This is Eric and Jacob in Missouri. And again, glad you were here. Glad to do this. I know it's a little bit of a long video, but I hope you enjoy it. And look out for the next couple videos we're going to do while I'm still here. And I will see you next time. SoCal Cigars. Take it easy.